Hey Ken, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing great. I got a message. I'm supposed to call you this morning. Well, lunch, I guess, for you guys. Is it a good time?
Oh yeah, perfect. This is Dan Bidondi from TruthRadioShow.com, and I also work for Infowars.com as well.
Excellent.
Okay, I interviewed your son years ago, and but I may have been following you from day one, and we just want to bring light to this case and help you get out. You know what I mean? Help spread this, get this viral, and get all the information out to make these people release you.
Excellent.
We want to bring justice. You know what I mean? We want to get you out of there and get you back on the roll. You know what I mean? Because you were doing great. You're waking a lot of people up, exposing the New World Order, the lies of evolution, and I just want to hear your thoughts of what's going on and what your case status is and everything else.
Okay. Well, I was a high school science and math teacher for 15 years, and we moved to Pensacola in 1989, January 89, and shortly thereafter began part-time and then later full-time traveling and speaking on the subject of creation versus evolution. I was defending the Bible as being scientifically accurate, and I still do. And I traveled all over the world teaching on creation, evolution, dinosaurs, Noah's flood, stuff like that. Then was arrested of the IRS case against our ministry, and I've now been locked up for 99 months. People can follow details on that on freekent.com, K-E-N-T, or on 2peter3.com, the number 2, the word Peter, and the number 3, or a number of YouTube channels. And all I've ever wanted to do is get the truth out. And I did not commit a crime to come to prison. I did not break any laws, and I will stand before God and say that, and He will agree. Because He knows that as far as what the law says, I didn't do anything. There's a lot of irregularities in my case, and I'm asking for Congress to do a full investigation from start to finish on this case. They need to say, look, what happened here? My case is a classic example of many things wrong with the justice system, with the court system, with the prison system. And all I want to do is like Gideon. All Gideon could do is shine the light and make a lot of noise, and God gave the victory. So I'm praying specifically that people like you will be able to help shine the light and let folks know what happened.
Absolutely, and we.
From the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
I can talk about the 3 specific charges if you'd like, but that's all explained on other programs. Basically, now they've put me back in county jail, and they want to add another prison term. I should have gone home last February. And now they're adding another charge about filing a Liz pendants. Just a notice that hey, the litigation's still pending. If you want to buy this property, you might want to be careful. And so they're calling it mail fraud, and it has a 20-year sentence for mail fraud.
Wow.
Which is so great. And that's only one. There are 6 counts. So they could literally give me 100 years in prison for this upcoming charge, which is so bogus. What happened is I filed a complaint of misconduct against the judge and against the U.S. attorneys in my case. And I filed a Bivens lawsuit because they kept my legal box in South Carolina for 20 months after I moved, and I was busy fighting my case. You kept all my legal stuff. Okay, perfectly fine. The Bible says in 1 Timothy chapter 1 that the law is good if you use it lawfully. And I'm in favor of everybody obeying the law, including the judge and the jury and the U.S. attorneys and the Congress and the president. Everybody should obey the law. I'm trying. I've always tried to. I didn't break any laws. Anyway, so we'll see what happens. February 9th is the trial in Pensacola, Florida. I really ask folks to pray for that. If you can do anything, if you want to be one of the 300 like Gideon had to help shine the light and make noise, then go to any of those websites, 2peter3.com or freekent.com, and make it go viral. Because I have nothing to hide. I'll answer any questions people have. If there's people saying I broke some law, okay, tell them to set up an account. I'll call them and we'll discuss it. I'd like to know, what law did I break? Please show me how.
Absolutely.
The Bible is written.
And
half the Bible is written from prison or captivity by innocent men.
And you've proven yourself too that there's actually no law in paying taxes in the first place. supposed to be voluntarily, but these criminals, they want to put you away because you bring light, you expose the truth, and they don't like people like us who blow the whistle on their corruption.
Well, yeah, I'm not a tax protester. I'm glad we have them in our country, and I hope we get a billion more. But I'm not one. I don't have time. That's not my calling in life. I want to win souls and influence people to believe the Bible. You know, I'm glad the guys threw the tea in the harbor 240 years ago. Praise God. I'm glad they did. I'm glad they threw off the reign of, you know, the wicked king. But that's not me. I think that the government thinks it's me, and they think I'm an evil tax protester. I'm not. If I owe a tax, I'll pay it. Show me what I owe, and I'll pay it. I've always felt that way. I think we should all obey the laws. Now, there are folks out there claiming all kinds of things about taxes. I don't understand all their tax laws. It's like a big bowl of spaghetti. I don't think anybody understands it.
No.
Including them. Well, it is. It's impossible to understand. Many people don't realize Pavlov, the Russian scientist, did experiments with the dog. You know, you ring the bell, you feed the dog. And then pretty soon the dog associates, oh, you hear the bell ringing, that means food's coming, and he starts to salivate. And it's a very famous experiment with Pavlov. What people don't realize is what Pavlov then did, once he got the dog used to coming when he rang the bell, then he would ring the bell and feed the dog. And then the next time you ring the bell and feed the dog, and he alternated and rotated and scrambled it up, so the dog never knew if he's going to get food or a feeding. And it was awful. It made the dog terrorized. And Pavlov demonstrated to the Soviet authorities, hey, if we keep the people totally confused about what's going to happen, they will live in abject fear of the government, which is what we want. And so you never knew what was going to happen. One guy was put in prison for 10 years in the Soviet Union with Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who wrote the famous book Archipelago Gulag, or Gulag Archipelago, whatever. Classic book. Alexander said, what are you in prison for? And he said, we were having a rally and Stalin showed up to speak. Everybody stood up and clapped and cheered for 45 minutes before he even spoke. Everybody's tired, their arms are worn out, their hands are hurting. He said, finally, I just stopped clapping and sat down, and instantly everybody else stopped clapping and sat down. They arrested me, gave me 10 years in prison, and said, don't ever be the first one to stop clapping. That was his crime. He was the first one to stop clapping at a Stalin rally. That's how stupid communism is, okay?
Yeah.
It's absolutely stupid, evil system. We're headed that way in this country where the tax laws and other laws are so complicated. Everybody's in fear of the government. I was in South Carolina at the camp there in Edgefield, South Carolina, walking the track with a guy, and I said, what are you in prison for? He said, well, I had a felony 15 years earlier for something, I forget what it was. He said, and I violated my probation, the terms of my probation, which was no access to a gun. See, felons can't have guns, or access to a gun is the way the law reads. He said, I live in South Carolina, but I owned a house in Tennessee that I was renting out. The renter had a gun in his house. He's a hunter. Okay, no problem. But he said, I had a key on my keychain to the house that I owned in Tennessee. So they gave me 3 years in prison for having access to a gun because I had a key to my own house in Tennessee. Then the renter had a gun.
Wow.
I was in prison with another guy who said, I got 3 years in prison because on my keychain, I had an empty bullet that you buy at the, Tom Thumb. A keychain with an empty bullet with a hole drilled to it for the keychain, just to look, just a bullet. Empty cartridge. They gave him 3 years in prison for having an empty cartridge because you can't have a gun or ammunition. The real purpose behind all of this crazy evil in our country was the locking everybody up for everything. One purpose is to keep everybody in fear like Pavlov's dogs. And we got it. People are scared of their government. And it's time for another revolution. Time to say, well, stop. If the people fear the government, that's tyranny. If the government fears the people, you can have freedom.
Exactly.
So I think we should just throw the thumbs out and fix this problem. We've got enough conservatives now that maybe we can make a difference. The problem is the conservatives, down through history, including me, we have been the problem. We are the ones calling for tough on crime, and we don't realize this is tough on families. This is tough on society. Our system isn't tough on crime. But so the purpose of the justice system is to keep people in fear. Secondly, it's to get gun control so that there can later be a takeover or whatever, and you can't resist. They've done this in every country, communist countries, and you should see what happened to the Armenians back in the 1914, I think. They had gun control laws. All the Armenians have to register their guns. Okay. Well, then a couple of years later, they come confiscate the guns because they know who's got them. They know everybody's address. You had to register. It's crazy. And then they killed over 1 million Armenians in the Armenian massacres during World War I, so not many folks noticed because everybody's busy with the war. But under communist China, communist Russia, it's been this way all through history. First, you establish some kind of gun control, take away the guns, and then you can control the people. It's all part of a much big...
This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
So America now has 4 or 5% of the world's population and 25% of the world's prisoners, and you are paying for these guys' lunch we just had here. And you didn't do nothing wrong. The system is so backwards. I did a long radio program with Steve Anderson. People can Google that. It's up on YouTube, I think, about the solution to the prison system in America. I could scale it way back and almost shut it down in 10 minutes just by following the Bible. Give people either a beating, a fine, or executed. For certain crimes, they should just simply be killed. Someone rapes your daughter, she does not need to worry now for the next... She doesn't need to feed him for the next 20 years and worry about him getting out. If someone rapes your daughter, she needs to watch him get electrocuted and even flip the switch if she wants. And then she needs to go spit on his grave every day for a couple of months or weeks or whatever until she can heal up emotionally. That's just common sense, psychology 101.
Yeah.
So after the children of Israel left, when the children of Israel left Egypt, they crossed the Red Sea. And then the Red Sea closed in and killed Pharaoh. And there's a very interesting verse at the end of that chapter in Exodus. It says, the children of Israel saw the dead bodies of the Egyptians along the shore. That was the closure when they finally, mentally, psychologically said, wow, we're free and he's not coming back. That's what the execution is about, the death sentence for certain crimes. We definitely should do that. As it is, when you give somebody double life or triple life sentence, that's a death sentence. He's going to die in prison. They say, well, that's cruel and unusual to electrocute him. No, it's cruel and unusual. Now, what's his wife supposed to do now? The guy's locked up for 30 years? She should get divorced and feel bad about divorcing her husband? No. Let him get it. He would probably rather get executed anyway.
I would.
I've asked guys in here. Yeah. I've asked hundreds of guys in here. In the Bible, it says for certain crimes you get a beating. I said, now, if after trial the judge said, look, Jimmy, you're obviously guilty, you can have a choice. You want 5 years in prison or 20 lashes?
I take the 20 lashes.
Says, I'll take the 20 lashes.
Yeah.
Right. A, it's a lot cheaper. Nobody's got to buy your supper. B, it's over. It's done. It's finished. You go home. Okay? And C, it's a better deterrent. You're not going to do it anymore. And D, it's much easier on the family. You can still be home and be dad for your kids and be husband for your wife. So our whole concept in the Bible, God never authorizes prisons. You either get a fine, a beating, or executed. The only prisons in the Bible are done by the heathen, the Egyptians, the Romans, the Greeks, etc. God never authorizes it. And I'm embarrassed, Dan, that I had to actually come to prison to realize that's what God's law teaches. For 40 years, I read the Bible and I missed it.
What they're doing to you, I mean, it's pure criminal. I mean, it was pure criminal for them to send you away in the first place, and we've been behind you ever since. And I mean, it's just, I mean, you're like you were saying about a revolution, and we need nothing short of a revolution. Look what they're doing to people like yourself, and they're just destroying this country. And then the IRS has a nerve to go around throwing the authority around that they don't have constitutionally. And we're living in a new world order, and you were the one of the first people to come out openly, publicly exposing the new world order, exposing the lies of evolution, how it's destroying our whole society altogether. And they don't want people like you running around. So you're a threat to the new world order system. So that's why they trump up these bogus charges on you. Now they're trying to keep you in jail for another 30 years, you said. And I mean, we got to do something about this. I mean, that's why we're calling people all over the country to come out and support you. I mean, if you live in Florida, people out there, go out and support Dr. Ken Hovind. Go to the prison with big signs. We need to get this stuff viral and force the IRS to stop these bogus charges. And your thoughts, Ken?
Amen. I agree. Well, first, like I said, I'm not a tax protester, but I'm glad we got them, and I think a lot of people need to start to stop and look at this whole system. It is so unconstitutional. Under the Puerto Rican Collection Agency, incorporated in Delaware in 1933, called Internal Revenue Service Tax Collection Agency Incorporated, under the Puerto Rican Tax Agency gets such power to walk into your house with a gun and arrest you and take your wife out of bed. And what happened? Where have we gone nuts?
Yeah.
If they thought I owed something, why didn't they write me a letter and say, hey, kid, come talk to us. We think you owe money. Okay, I've answered every letter I've ever gotten from them. In their own records, I'm listed as owing no tax and not being a tax protester. That's in their records, and all that's up on 2peter3.com, I think. I haven't seen any websites for 8 years. So if somebody else put up that site, then we want to help you, but posting a bunch of documents. So I don't know what happened, Dan. I love the Lord. I love my country. I fear for my grandkids for what's coming with the way things are going. And I think anybody with one eye and half a brain should be scared of where are we headed? What have we done? We're headed toward a dictatorship, a tyranny of some kind, where everybody fears the government. And it's just not supposed to be that way.
Exactly. I mean,
I love the Lord. And I understand you have to have taxes. There's no question. Jesus was born in Bethlehem because of a tax. I'm not against taxes. I think the law should be clear. It should be understandable. And if you owe it, you should pay it. In the Constitution, there were two kinds of taxes, direct and indirect. A direct tax is a tax on a particular activity. Like, for instance, you want to become a doctor. Okay? In order to become a doctor, you got to pay a tax of $200 or whatever it is. Okay? That's a direct tax. If you don't want to pay that tax, don't become a doctor. You can avoid it. Avoiding is very different than evading. Okay? It's illegal to evade something, but avoiding it, I avoid the police when I drive down the highway so I don't run into their car. If a policeman's on the side of the road, I'll move my car over so I don't hit him. That's avoiding the police. There's nothing wrong with that.
no.
That's common sense. Now, evading is different. That's running from them, trying to get away from them. I don't ever do that. I got nothing to hide. So I've never evaded any taxes. I never tried to. I think we should pay it if you owe it. So I'm not in that camp of tax, though there are millions out there who are really sick of what's happening, and I'll give them an attaboy, but I'm busy teaching on dinosaurs in the Bible. I just simply don't have time for that battle. Anyway, I'm glad guys like...
This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
I'm glad guys like you are exposing it. Please continue.
Oh, definitely. And we're right here by your side, and we're right with you in spirit, brother. And, we're going to do everything in our power. I mean, everything possible, politically, correct, whatever, not, nothing bad, but everything possible to get you out of there. And, I mean, we're just sick of the tyranny. We're sick of the New World Order. And, 2014, we woke up a lot of people, all of us in the alternative media here. And 2015, it's time for us now to take the offensive against the New World Order, to punch them right in the mouth. And, because we're sick of it. We need a revolution, and we need to bring justice. We need to restore the Constitution, get people like yourself out of jail. I mean, like, they're locking up people, like you said, left and right. They're going after, Homeland Security is going after returning veterans, classifying them, gun supporters, Ron Paul supporters, and Alex Jones supporters now, InfoWars supporters, as terrorists. And, I mean, this country is going to hell in the handbasket. And thanks to people like you that's bringing the truth out to people, even from jail, you're still waking up millions of people, and that's impressive.
Amen. Well, I want to. Paul said in Philippians chapter 1 that his going to prison, his bonds, had spread the gospel further. That's what I want. And I've told the Lord, as much as I hate being here and want to be home with my family and grandkids, I've been married 41 and a half years tomorrow. And
Well, happy birthday.
I was able to hold my wife for 8 years. In John chapter 3 in the Bible, verse 19 and 20, it says that evil men, they hate the light. They don't come to the light because their deeds are evil. The thing that the government, in my case, fears the most, the U.S. attorneys, I think, and those coming after me, and the IRS agents, they fear people seeing their evil deeds. All I want to do is shine the light. Please, let's have a full investigation of everything from start to finish. I have nothing to hide. Let's investigate it all. shine the light, make a lot of noise. And so if people can do that, I think that'll help. I think if the U.S. Attorney, Eric Holder, can send million letters saying, look, would you call your local folks down there in Pensacola and say, drop this case and send this guy home and give back all the stuff you stole and pay him the damages and leave him alone. I wasn't breaking any law. I was making a lot of noise, and I will continue till I die, which is probably something else they would like to see happen. I don't know. But that's what a preacher's supposed to do. I'm an ordained Baptist preacher in 1974. Preachers are supposed to preach the truth.
Amen.
And that often gets them in trouble. You know, John the Baptist got beheaded just for telling the truth. Jesus got crucified just for telling the truth. So I understand that's a common end for telling the truth. People don't want to hear it. But please, Dan, help get people to spread the light, shine the light, make a lot of noise about what happened in my case, because it's evil.
Oh, it is. And, you know, what's the worst thing that could happen? They could send you home. That's what I say all the time. People say, aren't you afraid of telling the truth like that? I'm like, you know what? The worst possible thing they could do to me is send me home, which is, the best thing. But anyway, it's like they think they're going to intimidate us, and I know they're not going to intimidate you. I know that. And you're standing up for truth, liberty, and light, and you're bringing these cockroaches out of the light and expose them for what they are. I mean, and now your case in February, I mean, what do you see coming out of this case right now?
Well, my first hope is that they will simply drop it and send me home, which they could do, and they should have brought these charges. These charges are obviously vindictive because I filed a complaint against them, and they get investigated by their boss, which they should be. They should be fired, probably. Okay? So I filed a complaint and then filed a lis pendens saying, hey, there's litigation pending. If you're going to buy that property, you be aware that there's litigation still pending. That's all it is. And so if you go to prison again for that would be silly.
Yeah.
It's obvious they're upset because I'm fighting back. It's like when you catch a fish and you're hauling him in the boat and he starts flopping around and trying to fight you. Well, yeah, hello, you're going to kill him and eat him. Of course he's going to fight back and fight you. What do you expect, I've said for years, many animals that eat grass have horns, like the longhorn cattle. You do not need horns to eat the grass. The purpose of the horns is to explain to the lion to stay off your back so you can eat the grass. You just want to be left alone and eat the grass. But the lion keeps wanting to jump on you and eat you. Okay, get those longhorns and poke him right in the head until he understands. Stay off my back. I'm a peace-loving man. I didn't do anything wrong. And I want to be left alone. I just want to go preach. If I owe some money, I'll pay it. I promise I'll pay it. I always have. If I don't owe it, don't come arrest me and tell me I do it. Show me what law I broke, and I'll be glad to fix it. That's all I've ever wanted.
Well, they didn't even give you a chance. They didn't even give you They didn't even give you a chance to comply or try to pay it off. They just came and slapped the handcuffs on you and dragged you away. I mean, like what the hell kind of liberty is that? I mean, what kind of justice is that? And yeah, you're right. The Congress and all these high authorities, people in position should look into this from beginning to start and start indicting some of these people who are responsible for doing this to you.
Well, that's my prayer, is that I have almost no hope of getting justice here in the Northern District of Florida. I think they have a 99% win rate, the federals do in all of their cases. It's like 98 or 99% they win. It's not a level playing field. It's not because they're good lawyers. It's because they own everything. The referees, the field, I mean, it's like, hello. So, of course they're going to win. It's like the Harlem Globetrotters. Why do they win every game? Because it's not a level playing field.
Yeah.
And it really is. And then when you go to appeal, in the last 40 years especially in America, the court system works on a thinking process, a mentality, that it's best not to ever overturn a case if possible. 1971, I believe, the Supreme Court had some kind of case where they used the phrase finality of conviction. If the lower court found him guilty, it's really best that we don't overturn it because it looks bad on the lower court judge. So you'll find 11,000 cases get submitted to the Supreme Court every year. They only hear 65 of them and only overturn a very, very few of those.
Wow.
So people think people think, well, we've got a justice system, and if I don't win, I'll go to Supreme Court. Yeah, right. Wait till you get in it and see. It doesn't work that way. So go to Supreme Court and just look up the cases, and just you'll see one word after every single case: denied, denied, denied. They never give a reason why. They just simply deny it. They don't want to hear it. So your chance of winning in the Supreme Court is real close to zero. It's the same in the appellate court and really in the lower level federal courts. It's gotten to the point, which is exactly like communist Russia or Adolf Hitler's Germany, where people fear the government. They're terrified of their own government, which is not what our founding fathers intended. We're supposed to be a constitutional republic where everybody obeys the law, including the government. And I think we should do that. That's all I want is to get... I have grandkids that are 12 and under, 5 of them, and I want them to have the freedoms growing up that I had. So it's worth it for me to stand up and make a lot of noise.
This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
Make noise and shine the light and say, hey, stop this insanity. Let's go back to the Constitution, dust it off, and read it. It's only 7 pages long. Read it, and let's start doing what it says.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. These people fear the Constitution. I've been in court for several things, and nothing bad with her, but you bring up the Constitution, they literally laugh at you. They look at you with a big smile and laugh at you and think you're a joke because you're reciting from the Bill of Rights. I mean, and these people are such criminals, it's not even funny.
Well, a lot of people don't understand the bigger picture is you're not really under the Constitution when you go in these courts now. You're under a type of admiralty law. If there was a Chinese ship out in the harbor in New York and you walked down the plank and got on that ship, you're now under Chinese law by virtue of the fact of walking onto that ship. Even though you're in an American harbor, it's called the law of the flag or something like that. And so they're real proud of that flag that shows what the jurisdiction is. So when you go into a federal court voluntarily, you are asking them, you're boarding a ship, basically. You're now under a type of admiralty law, and it doesn't matter what the Constitution says. That judge is the captain of the ship, and that judge can order anything done, and there's not a blooming thing you can do about it. And that's the law of the flag and the admiralty law type of. So, yeah, I think that's something you can Google and find it.
We have 60 seconds remaining.
Find on the internet a ton of stuff on that. So yeah, you can't go into a federal court and argue Constitution. Technically, you're not really under it. As crazy as that seems.
Yeah, and yeah, you take.
We only got 60 seconds.
Well, I want to thank you for.
60 seconds, please. Make our stuff go viral. Please help out.
I definitely will, and I'll write you some more. I haven't wrote you in a while, but I want to, thank you, and God bless you, brother. And my prayers are for you, and we're gonna do everything in our power. And know that we're there spiritually with you, brother.
Thank you so much, brother. Love you. Talk to you later.
Love you too,
Bye-bye.
brother. God bless. And that was Dr. Kent Hovind. I mean, it's just unreal. I mean, we could have been on the phone for another hour, just talking about his case, and we didn't even get the details about it because there's just so much involved. So we're asking people out there to just get this viral. His website, drdino.com. He's got a new one. I think it's creationminute.com too. But go to drdino.com. It takes you right to that website. Unbelievable. This is Dan Bidondi for TruthRadioShow.com.